All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about a thinking habit that, believe it or not, might be keeping people financially trapped. It's this powerful, invisible force that can shape our entire lives, often without us even realizing it's there. You've probably heard this question before, right? It gets asked all the time, and usually there's a lot of judgment behind it. You know, why would someone take out a crazy high interest loan? Or why don't they just save more? The answers seem so simple from the outside, but what if we're asking the wrong question entirely? So, this is kind of the classic debate. Is poverty about making bad choices, a lack of personal responsibility, or is there something else going on? A heavy, invisible load that actually changes the way people are forced to think.
Okay, to really get to the bottom of this, we have to look past those easy assumptions and dig in to what the science actually tells us. And this is where things get really interesting with something called the poverty paradox.
I mean, it's so easy to play armchair quarterback, right? We see a decision that looks totally illogical, and our first instinct is often to blame the person, to say it's a flaw in their character or they just don't have enough willpower. But here's the big twist. What if we've got it all backward? What if the problem isn't the person at all, but the situation? What if the actual state of being poor puts such a massive strain on your brain that it makes good long-term decisions almost impossible for anyone? And that leads us right to the heart of this whole thing, a concept called the scarcity mindset. Now, this is so important to grasp. This isn't some kind of personality flaw. It's a natural, human, cognitive response to a tough situation. So, a scarcity mindset is what happens when you have less of something than you feel you need. And listen, this isn't just about money. It could be a scarcity of time, of food, even of social connection. When you're in that state, your brain literally shifts gears and starts to operate differently. This is probably the best way to think about it. Imagine your brain is a laptop. Now, scarcity is like some huge, clunky software that you didn't even know was running, and it's hogging all your processing power in the background. What happens? Well, everything else you try to do slows down, it lags, you get glitches. That's exactly what scarcity does to your mind. So, researchers call this a cognitive tax or a bandwidth tax. But how does this mental tax actually mess with you in the real world? Let's break down how it completely hijacks your focus. Okay, so when your basic needs are covered, when you have what's called abundance, you have the mental space to think about the bigger picture. Your mind is free to plan, to think about your career, your health, your future. You can zoom out. But when you're under the gun with scarcity, all of that just evaporates. Your entire world shrinks down to the most immediate, burning problem in front of you. Not next month's goals, not even next week's plan. It's all about, how do I get through today? The urgent doesn't just take priority, it shoves everything else off the table. This effect is called tunnel vision. And what's wild is that this isn't a choice you make. It's an automatic cognitive response. Your brain is hardwired to focus on the immediate threat, which, hey, is a great survival skill if you're running from a lion, but it's an absolutely terrible way to manage modern-day finances. And here's the real cost of being stuck in that tunnel. All of that mental energy, the constant worrying, juggling bills, figuring out the next step, it's completely exhausting. It's like your brain's battery is always at 10%. It drains the very resources you need for self-control, for planning ahead, for solving complex problems. Your mental toolkit is basically empty before you even face a big decision. So, we've got the brain science down. Now let's connect the dots and see how this creates this awful, self-perpetuating cycle in the real world. This is what's known as the scarcity trap. This breaks it down perfectly. Let's say your car breaks down. You need it for work. That creates an instant crisis. Your brain goes into that tunnel vision. All you can think is, I need $400 right now. And in that moment, a payday loan doesn't look like a bad decision. It looks like the only solution. It solves the immediate problem. But then, the trap springs. Because the fees and interest on a loan like that can have an annual percentage rate, or APR, of, get this, 400%. I mean, it's just a mind-boggling number. You've solved today's emergency by literally creating a bigger, more desperate one for yourself next month. And that's the absolute tragedy of the scarcity trap. The very mental state that's designed to help you survive the moment ends up making your long-term survival that much harder. It's a vicious cycle. So, what does this all mean? What's the big takeaway from all this? Well, it means we need to fundamentally shift how we think about this whole problem. We have to change the conversation. Honestly, if you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this right here. Poverty isn't a personal feeling. It's not about being a bad person who makes bad choices. It's about being a normal person in a bad context, a context of scarcity that makes good choices incredibly profoundly difficult. This quote just nails it. It perfectly flips the script on how we usually think about this. It's not that bad decisions lead to poverty. It's that the condition of being poor is what creates the cognitive load that leads to those so-called bad decisions. The cause and effect are the other way around. And that's the big question I want to leave you with. If we know that scarcity acts like a heavy tax on people's minds, what happens next? Instead of just telling people to try harder or have more willpower, what if we focused on changing the system? How do we design things from bank accounts to social programs that give people their mental bandwidth back, that actually lift that cognitive tax instead of making it heavier? Thinking about that, well, that could change everything.